Alright, well, this is a Treemont coal stove. This is just kind of a general big picture what I have here. And I've had it for about 15 years and it still works great, but I'm just getting tired of lugging coal around. I don't have it delivered, I go get it and put it in barrels and buckets. Anyway, so try and show you some of the operation here. Well, first of all, this is the ash pan, and it goes inside that cavity right there. It slides in, and it has a handle, and there, wait a minute. Hold on here, let me try and get a little bit more light. So this is the handle for pulling it out and putting it in, and then here's a handle for carrying, which is pretty handy. It just comes up here like this, and you lift it up. It has these two stops on the sides. Everything I think about this stove is well designed. Anyway, okay, hopefully you'll be able to see this. This right there. Well, let's see here. Try and turn this. Hopefully you'll be able to see up in there a little bit. Anyway, that's the grate up in there, which I can barely see from here. I'll show you a view from the top. And then there are these little side deflectors that help the coal ash to go down into the pan. There's one there. Somewhere. Oh, there it is. Okay, so I cleaned it out a little bit. I've let the stove go out because it's now 50 degrees and we're having a little warming period here. It's the 27th of December. Okay, so I'll put the pan in. Goes in like that. And so that's that. Okay, over here, I'll show you the outside, but this is the adjustment for the draft. Okay, and then it's got a lever here. So basically what I do when I'm trying to warm it up and get it hot, I open this all the way up. Of course, then you have to remember to shut it back down, otherwise it gets extremely hot. And then I'll shut it all the way down. Depending on how cold it is outside. If it's pretty cold and windy, I'll leave it open like this with a little crack there. But for the most part, you keep it dampered down. Okay, this is a brass ring around the door, around the glass, and I haven't shined it up for a couple years, but it looks better when it's shined up. Okay, so this is the glass. I guess I should have cleaned that up too. I got all the coal ash out, and I vacuumed out around the outside. Anyway, this is the grate. Show it to you from up above here. Put my light in there. And okay, so what you do, I have a little basket over here. This is a tool that I use to help clean things out. It came with the stove. And I guess every once in a while I get one of these clinkers, one of these things that turns to rock, and it kind of gums up the grate, but if you get decent coal, that's usually not a problem. Anyway, okay, here's the handle for shaking down the shaker. So what you do, sorry about all the shakiness of the camera, is there's a little door here. You just slide that back. I mean, the stove is hot when it's burning, so anyway, I just use that. Stick it in there, and then you have to be kind of careful it doesn't hit that screw. Sometimes when you bring it forward and then back, it'll hit the screw, so you can't shove it in there all the way. But anyway, so you just rock it back and forth like this, and that does it. Now, show you what it looks like from above. Rock back and forth. You can see there's a couple pieces in there that get out. Everything works good. I'm trying to get a picture here from down below. If I can. Getting this camera down here. Okay, I think you can see that there. Okay, so there's the shaker going back and forth. All right. Now let me just. Oh no. Again. Shut this. And okay, let me get a couple of these little pieces out of here. There's a couple of these that are a little there. I don't want to get too much dust on my hands because I'm handling the camera. Okay, so far so good. Let's see. So the other thing that we have is this is where you dump the coal in. And this stove was advertised that one of the key features is that it's very clean. And it is very clean. I never have to clean coal dust out of my house, ever. I might get a little dust here in the basement just from carrying the coal ash back and forth. But what happens is, when you open this with everything else closed, with this door closed and the bottom closed, if you open this lid here, and here's a tool that I use for opening the lid, there's a little hole right here, since it's hot when it's in operation. So you close that. Anyway, when you open that, the draft that would go up the chimney sucks air out of the stove. And the only place the air can come in is through that hole. So any coal dust that is on the coal or in the bucket just goes in there, and I guess it might go up the chimney, but anyway, it doesn't come out into the room. So it is a very clean stove. And then it goes through the wall here. I built this brick surround thing here about 15 years ago. Anyway, so I think that is just about it. Oh, there's a control right here. Here, let me move the light. This thing right here, it has a high and a low. And that's supposed to let air in up here on top. You see those holes up there? Well, here. Try and get this. So if I slide it this way, these open up. But I basically never use that. I've fiddled around with it. Maybe I'm not working it the way it should be. See, it's kind of jammed a little bit because I never use it. But anyway, see, now they're open. I think the idea is it lets air in the top and it comes down over the glass, and maybe it's supposed to keep the glass cleaner, but basically when you're burning wood, and I do burn wood in the spring and fall and it burns that fine, but the glass will kind of creosote up, and that doesn't seem to help. I don't know, I haven't fiddled with it too much. So anyway, that's about it. I replaced the gasket on the door a couple years ago, and in the lid. I have one of these flue dampers here that when it's real windy out, that'll open and close so it doesn't create too much draft on the stove. The stove is kind of self-regulating. When it warms up outside, there's less draft and the stove cools down. When it cools down, there's more of a temperature difference and it creates more draft and the stove heats up. That's not to say you don't have to fiddle with it some, but basically, you know, when it's under 25, you know, you crack the damper down here open a little bit. When it's 35 and 40, you just shut it all the way down and it heats the whole house. I have a 3-story house. This is the basement, and anyway, not a whole lot, not much to look at, but here, over here, this looks a little better. Anyway, but it heats the basement. It's usually about 75 down here, 70 on my first floor, and maybe 65 to 68 up in the bedrooms. I've got 4 bedrooms on the second floor. So it's a 4-bedroom house, and it heats the whole house. Except that if it's windy and say below 20, or if it's, you know, calm and below 10, then I have a heat pump and I put it on emergency heat. That'll kick on every now and then. But for the most part, this heats the whole house all winter long. Okay, I think that's about it. Here, I'll give you a shot with all this put away. Now, oh, this tent, I have a little thermometer up here, and right now you can see it's at 0 or whatever, 70 degrees. But it usually runs up here around 400, and this thing used to have a magnet. I don't know what happened to the magnet. Anyway, I don't like to get it up here, although when it's real cold, I'll get it up here to between 500 and 600 in the red, but you have to kind of keep an eye on it. I've had it pegged up here at 900 a few times. I don't like doing that, but anyway, I forget to close down the damper. You know, you can see some rust up here on the lid, and even around it's just all surface rust. I painted it a couple years. I took a wire brush and wire brushed it real good and painted everything and shined up the brass door, but yeah, I don't know, it lasted, it looked nice for a year, and then now it's back to this. So anyway, that's the stove.